2, 1. Okay, so thank you, team, for taking the time for us to meet and have our little discussion today. I'm just trying to see if I can lock this thing up somewhere. Okay. So we are looking at ODK for beginners. Now, let me say that this training is pretty much tailored towards some specific activity. In an event where EDSA would want to kind of embark on a nationwide or institution-wide inventory mapping and other things, most likely we would consider a standard GIS software than maybe ODK for some 1 or 2 reasons. However, for most of the projects that we have undertaken over the years, so especially the ones that I have been a subcontractor on, especially for Deloitte, it is ODK that we have been using for most of the mapping. And even on the side, some further engagement that we have had, myself and Safa and may God rest his soul, Bokare, it was ODK, and it have proved to be quite good and quite successful. Now, what we are about to do is simply for me to take you guys through the ODK, which is the Open Data Kit system, and by the time we are done, especially for today, which is just an introductory session, you would have gotten some very good knowledge of that. The end-to-end operation of ODK, of course, we usually start from the form creation. And if you want to even get a full proper use or utility for it, then there will be the need for you to have some kind of dashboard, at the end of it, which you'll be able to use that to visualize your data. At the moment, for what I'm running for EDSA right now, which is running on my own server, a dashboard have been developed, and at the end of the session on Thursday, you would have a walkthrough of the dashboard so that every member of the team will be able to see the dashboard. The reason why the dashboard development is not explicitly covered in this particular training session is because it's going to take a rather longer period of time, because the dashboard was developed in R. And so in order for me to get you guys to maybe understand the whole dashboard development scope, it's going to take me more than 1 week, even more than 1 month for me to do that, because I would have to walk you guys through the basics of R, and then R Shiny, which is like the framework used for application development in R, before we can say you are confident enough to actually try something. But let's see, maybe after this training, if there's that possibility, then we look at that. But for now, I would walk you through the dashboard I've created. So that is just, for as an introduction. And like I said, today's agenda, we will look at the ODK, understanding the ODK, why it's used, its real-world uses over different places, the ecosystem of ODK, the end-to-end workflow of it. And then for the second hour, I intend for this to be just 2 hours so that I don't take so much of your time, but also deliver everything that you need. The meeting is also being recorded. I would share the recording at the end so that you all get a reference and revisit whenever you want to. The second half of this, hopefully, would be the delving deeper into a form, what is a typical form, how does a typical form looks like, and there are various question types available: skip logics, validation, repeat, testing, deployment, and then best practices. So another thing that I should start off with is currently EDSA has one server running, and that server running has your project, which is actually on production. And so when I say they are on production, it means these are projects that exist that are being used. And so I wouldn't want us to use that as a training site, no. So what I'm doing is that I'm actually setting up my own server specifically for this training. After the training, I bring it down. The reason is that it's expensive, and so I wouldn't want to incur so much cost. And so I'll set up a server specifically for this training. This server will be up for us to use tomorrow, and then Thursday. It will run till maybe Friday, latest by Monday, I would have brought down that server because I will only be setting up for testing purposes for you to be able to push your forms, test it, play around with how the ODK platform looks like. And then afterwards, you already have your EDSA server. And so maybe I would discuss with the team who should get which privilege. All those things can be decided after the training session, and then we take it from there. Now, what is ODK? If there's any question, please feel free to interrupt me at any time. Now, ODK simply is Open Data Kit, right? And it's a free and open source suite of tools that we use to collect, manage, and then it helps. It works very well with mobile devices, such as tablets and our regular mobile phones. And it can also help in the areas where there is poor or pretty much no internet connectivity, because it can work offline. ODK stemmed all the way back from 2008. It's being used across 130 plus countries, and usually NGOs, governments, researchers, and people use it. The cost is free and it's open source. Now, you will understand, even though you may hear that it is free and open source. However, if you have to set it up and run it, you would have to pay for something. Now, what you are paying for is not for the software. As for the software, it is app. Anyone can just go online and then download the software. All right. So I can jump online and download ODK and then set it up on my local server and use it. You can also go there, download it, set it up on your local and use it. All right. So it's open for anyone or to anyone who wants to use it. Now, usually for the ODK team itself, if you go online and you want them to give you a hosting, that is a full package, then you'd have to pay. And that one is the least price is $199 a month, which I believe is pretty much expensive than how much you would pay if you were paying for your own server. And I think Safa can attest to that. If you're paying for your own server and then domain as well, because that cost wouldn't get up to even $30 depending on the usage. You wouldn't even get up to $30 a month, honestly. But again, that would mean they are charging for some kind of service as well, because they are managing your server and everything for you. Okay. Now, we have, over the period of time, been using paper for some kind of inventory and then data management, all right, from collection to storage and all of that. And then also the question of sustainability of other mobile data collection tools, like the ArcGIS collector, which is now it's been changed to field work. And then we also have the Survey 123, which could do something similar, but you would have to pay for them. And we all know the ArcGIS licensing issues. ODK would help you submit data from the field to your server instantly, and that should be accessed by anyone at any time. You can validate forms in order to prevent bad data entry. You capture your GPS, and with the GPS, you can capture both line, point, and then polygons. All of these three are possible in ODK. You can capture photos, audios, and even people's signature as well. So in case you are doing something and then you want to, maybe you send enumerators to the field and they are to speak to, let's say, people in companies and then collect some information from them for EDSA work. And you want to know that indeed this was not the person going to sit somewhere and then filling it. You can actually leave a signature at the end where the person can, whoever got interviewed can sign, and then that can go into the system as well. You can also integrate your dashboard into it, okay? And then we have one source of truth ready for analysis. So in principle, you can have just a single source of truth for your data, and then use it as and when. So that is the benefits that ODK comes with. It is used in the utilities and infrastructure like what you guys are doing: meter audit, fault reporting, asset inventory, outage tracking, whatnot. We also have the health and disease surveillance. It's been used in the agriculture and food security field, education and social programs, environment and wash, census and registration and all of that. These are all being used, for as ODK permits. Okay, so for you, what may matter for you guys will be meter auditing, meter installation, data capture, customer registration, fault reporting, asset inventories, and all of those things. Okay. Now, let's jump to the ODK ecosystem. The ODK ecosystem is primarily made up of three things: the XLS form, ODK Central, and then the ODK Collect. So the XLS form is the guy that is in charge of your form design. Okay, so everything, however you want your form to look like, happens in the XLS form. Now, the XLS form is a simple Excel form or Excel sheet. You can store it either as a standalone Excel on your computer, or you can use Google Sheet directly, so that if multiple people have to work on the form, then they are all able to do that. Okay, then that is it. And you require 3 sheets that are defined. You defined about 3 sheets of them, and we are going to see an example, which I have sent the link also into on our WhatsApp page. We can all grab, and then when I get there, we all look at it together. Then we also have the ODK Central. Now, the ODK Central is the engine of everything. So that is the guy that will sit on the server. Okay, so you would need to have a web server. Currently, we are using the DigitalOcean web server. And so we designed a form in here on this guy. We designed a form. Then we push the form onto the ODK Central, which will be sitting on a server. And then this guy here, this ODK Central, will render that on the ODK Collect, which can be opened on either your phone or your tablet, usually on Android. Unfortunately, ODK Collect does not have the iOS. The reason is that, you see, we always know that iOS or Apple stuff, they actually go against the open source principles. The reason is that every year you would have to pay some amount to keep your membership open, and that is against the open source principle. But Apple is a money-making entity, and so or organization, and so that usually do not work. And for most of the open source application, they happen to have that challenge. Now you are able to download the form. So what the ODK Collect will do is that you download the form, you capture the data offline or online. You are able to sync when you are back online in case you don't have any internet connection, all of that. So these are the three. So for nothing at all, this is the first thing that I want you to have on your fingertips, that the ODK ecosystem is made up of three things: the XLS form, which is the standard Excel form that you would use to design your forms. After you design your form, you need to push it onto what we call the ODK Central, which is sitting on a particular web server with an IP address or a domain so that people can open it. So in your case, the domain is etsagis.com, and that is where that domain is where your ODK Central is sitting. I push the XLS form onto that central, and then it can be rendered on ODK Collect. Even though it's simple like that, but it goes through a number of processes, which are actually not complicated as well. So let me just say that. So these are the three ecosystems. Please, any question up to this point before I continue? Any questions? Or we are fine? Okay. So how does the end-to-end workflow of ODK works? So,
hello, Ben.
Yes.
I think there's a question.
Yeah, please ask.
was asking a question.
Please ask the question.
Ishaka,
I'm waiting for the question.
I think he's having an issue. His question is, what about the ODK build? He's asking what about the ODK build?
ODK what?
build. Build.
ODK build.
Yes.
No. There's really nothing like ODK build. The three major ecosystems are what I've mentioned: the XLS form, the ODK Central, the ODK Collect. Are you okay, Ishaka? So the build and whatever it is all handled inside the central. Can I continue? Hello? Guys, can I be heard?
Yes, we can get you. I think he's fine.
Okay. So this is what we are saying. Now, the ODK has a standard end-to-end workflow. End-to-end workflow means from the start of it, how do I get a project up and then running and all the way up to a project utility. So the first one is the design of the form. So someone calls me today and says, okay, I need to design a survey. I need my team to collect some data for me. The first question I will ask the person, what kind of data do you want the people to collect for you? Okay. Then the person will say, maybe we are installing new meters or we have meters installed at some place. We want to capture all the information that have been or information about that meter. Okay. It could be information also about the customer as well. Now, this is a request. When this thing comes, the person said information. So I will have to peruse and ask, okay, which type of information? In principle, that person should give me the various data points that is needed. Okay, I need a meter name, the meter number, the meter type, the meter make, and so on and so forth. Now, this information that I get, I would have to program them, all right, on my Excel sheet, okay, which is the XLS form. I would have to program them. And the ODK has a language. Okay, the XLS form has a language. It has a syntax. And so when you are programming it, you need to program it as such. That is not all. There are certain things that you need to consider. because you don't just develop forms, you build logic also in forms. So you build logic in the sense that, okay, if you go and the person is using maybe certain types of meters have some peculiar characteristics. Okay, certain type of meter have peculiar characteristics. For instance, if you come to me, I'm a customer, okay, and then I am using a single phase meter. The single phase meter, it's just a single phase meter, so I pretty much wouldn't have any other phase alternative to connect to. If I'm using, and so there's no need for you to even ask me which phase am I currently using. The meter type is a single phase meter, right? So I only have just one phase. But then if you go to a customer using a three-phase meter, then that one you can ask the customer, okay, which phase is the customer currently connected to? Is it phase A, phase B, phase C? Is it all three phases or just two phases? You know, something like that. So we use logic to define how the form should behave. Okay, we use the logic to define how the form should behave. So we are looking at two, or rather, at least at this point, we are looking at three things here. We are looking at what should go into the form. That is one on the design phase. What should go into the form? The second one is what should be the logic of the form. The third one is how should the form look like? Okay, and that is the design of it. How should it look like? And so we have ways of approaching all of these things. What goes into the form, we have ways of defining that. How the form should look like, we have ways of defining that. And then the logic that the form should follow, we have ways of defining that. So that is for the design phase. So we answer these three questions. Then the second approach is, the second one is the publication phase. Once you are done deciding on what goes into it and then you put it into it, then you answer the question of how the form should look like. And then you also look at the logic of the form. Once you get all of these three things right, the next thing is to push the form, that is, to publish the form to the central server, or whichever server that the ODK Central is sitting on, because that is where the form gets built and then rendered, onto any surface or any device of your choice. Okay, so that is a publication. So after publication, you have two ways that you can use to collect data from ODK. You can use a web link, or you can use the ODK Central Collect. 95% of the time, we advise that people use ODK ODK Collect. So ODK Collect, if you take your phones and then you go to your Android store, you should see ODK Collect. That is the mobile application bit of it. So over here, the Fields tab can simply download the form. They would see the form that you have published in step 2. They will download that form onto their Collect application. When they download the form, they can pretty much open the form, and then they will see as you designed it and with all the logic and everything, it will all show inside the Collect. They also have the liberty to fill online, and you've all seen how the offline works before, because you simply go to the field and there is no data. Whenever you collect the data, you can save it on the phone. When you come, you sync it and it will go. So that is the idea. Then you have the submission, which the phone or the tablet or any the mobile device that you are using actually syncs whatever it is you have on the phone or on Central. On Collect, it syncs it to the Central. Again, the Central is the one sitting on the web, which will hold the data, and then Collect is the mobile application on your phone or tablet that you will use to do the data collection. Okay, so when it comes to submission, you are simply syncing whatever it is on the phone onto the web, which is the central. Last but not least is the analysis of it and visualization. Let me add that. So usually, by default, ODK does not really come with its visualization dashboard of a sort. No. What happens is that you simply you would have to either export the data as a CSV and then visualize it independently, or it gives us what we call an API. API stands for Application Programming Interface. What APIs do is that they allow you to fetch the data that you have on Central directly through to either QGIS or R or Power BI, or there is this other one called it's by Google Lookup. I think Google Lookup also, it's a dashboard for Google, which is also free and you all have access to it. You can simply connect that through to ODK, and then using your account, you'll be able to authorize and then pull data directly from ODK and be able to visualize it on a dashboard. Now, in this session, or in our last session, I will show you how you can pull data directly from ODK and then bring it to QGIS. That is what I will show you, and then I'll walk you through the dashboard I've already developed in R. Okay, so you would get direct ODK access of your data in QGIS. So you render the points data you would have collected in QGIS so that you are able to have live access to that. Okay. Yeah, so that is the one thing that we need to know. And just an FYI, when you're using your phone or your tablet, you really do not need internet during the data collection. Okay, but sometimes it streamlines the work a little bit if you're in the field. And then for some, or in some instances, someone is monitoring the work that you are doing, and so you are required to sync the work upon collection, so that the person, whoever is at the back, probably can peruse the data that you have worked on, so that in case something you collected is wrong, then you have to go back to the field and then do that work again. So sometimes we define certain workflows, and then we may have to work along the lines of the workflows. Now, let's look at the ODK Central, which is sitting on your server. So the ODK Central is actually the web platform that hosts your forms and then stores all your data that you submit. Okay, and it can be accessed through any web browser. So with yours, you guys already have the EDSA which is your ODK Central, and that can hold your project. On Central, you are able to create multiple projects, uncountable number of projects on ODK Central. Okay, then you can manage your forms, because now you create a project. A project will have forms under the project. Now you also have users and roles that can access that project and the forms. You also have submissions. Every project would have submission, because you have forms under it, and then people actually will submit input under the form. And then you can also do your integrations either with a REST API or data feed for Power BI or Excel or R or anything at all, for that matter. So that is the ODK Central and what it presents for us. The ODK Collect, which is the mobile application, so it's the Android app that the field guys will use to fill forms and then send data. It's actually on Google Play Store. You can just go and then download it, and then you are fine. It supports text, numbers, GPS coordinate, phone, signatures, barcode, offline sync, and all of that. And I remember at some point, I think we even had to implement some kind of barcode, so that when people are going to do their meter reading, they wouldn't have to type in the meter number, because they are prone to making mistakes. They would rather, for the meters that have the the QR codes or the barcodes or whatever, they can simply scan it and then they are fine. So all of those implementations are in there. So that is for the ODK Collect, which is the mobile application. So this is the first part of it, and let me know if we are fine before we jump to the second part. Like I said, today is not going to be really extended because I'm just giving you the introduction, and from God willing, tomorrow we'll build a whole comprehensive form tomorrow, and then we try and then we will host it on Thursday. Or we'll host it tomorrow as well, because I'll have the server up. Any questions, please?
Yes, Len.
Yeah.
My question is, if we're using the ODK, let's say I want to use the ODK platform, but I don't want to use the ODK kit to collect the ODK collect to do the field work. Is the ODK Essential compatible with other field data collecting application like the Q field or the Survey 123?
Unfortunately, no. Unfortunately, no. So the ODK is actually, the Open Data Kit understands the ODK central architecture and configurations. Okay. If I want to do Q field, then I need to design everything in QGIS. I need to configure my working jackets, shape files, and everything in QGIS. And then, depending on what you can do, you can either host it, push it locally onto your phone or your tablet, or you can use the QField sync, the QField cloud to host it. But that is, limited. And so you'd have to pretty much pay for the cloud space. So that is the difference actually. But you cannot, they are not compatible. You cannot use ODK for on Survey 123. Survey 123 is an Esri-based system. It has nothing to do with ODK. Any more questions? Jenny, are you okay?
Yes, I'm fine.
Okay. Any more questions from the team, or we are good and I can move on? Okay,
Yeah, good.
so, all right, I take it that we are good. So, the XLS form reserved for this place. So now, what is the XLS form? It's just the simple way that we use to write the ODK forms, in Excel or Google Sheets, right? And in principle, you don't need any programming. We are not writing any code here, no. As long as all of us can use Excel, we are all good to go. You have one workbook and most of the time, 3 worksheets, but you would see that sometimes we create some other worksheet, just that these worksheets are mandatory. Every standard ODK forms would have, or XLS form will have these 3 worksheets, and you understand what these worksheets do. So you also have, so the worksheets are simply the survey sheet, the choices sheet, and then the settings. These are the standard ones that every ODK XLS form should have. The survey, choices, settings. Again, these ones, no one should forget. Like if you say you are ODK savvy, then you shouldn't forget them. First of all, you shouldn't forget the 3 ecosystem or the building blocks of ODK, the XLS form, the collect, and then the central. You shouldn't forget that the standard ODK form has the survey sheet, the choices sheet, and the setting sheet. Okay. Then you would pretty much convert the XLS form, to what you call the X form for ODK Collect. So the central will do that conversion and that process of build up, for you. And then an XLS form is reusable in the sense that I can design the form and then send it to engineer, send it to any one of you pretty much. And then that person will be able to use it, either edit it or modify it, and then upload onto your server or your central or whatever, any way is fine. So that is the XLS form. Now, this is its anatomy, like I said. We have the CV, which is one of the sheets that you will get. You have, now, what does the CV do? Imagine I have an Excel workbook with 3 worksheets. So you realize, that the worksheet will be on the bottom somewhere. So the first worksheet is called CV. Now, that CV is where my questions will be defined. The questions will be defined on the CV sheet. So it is 1 row per question, and then I'm pretty much detecting what users will see and how users will see it all on that sheet. I'm repeating it. When it comes to the CV sheet, I am basically building my questions all on the CV sheet, right? And then I am defining what users see and then how they see it. Okay. Then the second one, and let me just on the CV before I jump to the choices. The concept of what they will see and then how they will see it is also controlled by a number of columns that exist in that sheet. The sheet has some columns which you will see that exist in it, which through its configuration and the syntax will let users see something the way they will see it, will let users type whatever it is the way they will type it, answer whatever it is that they will answer the way they have to answer it. Okay, so those things are in there. Even when it comes to the building of my logic inside my form, all takes place in the survey sheet. Good. Then we have the choices sheet. So the choices sheet is very simple. You are simply creating choices for users. So for instance, if we are doing meter make and you have conlog, you have, I've forgotten some of them. You would have to help me with some of the examples. What are the other examples of the meter make? I can only remember conlog and then which one?
We have Holy, Sergeant Form.
Yeah, exactly. All of those guys. Now, if I am creating a form on the survey sheet, I would have defined that, okay, I would have mentioned on the survey sheet that users are supposed to select one from, and there are some keywords, so we'll be using the keywords, right? Users are supposed to select one from a particular list of choices to populate a particular question. Now, those choices that I want users to select one from, I will define that in my choice sheet. That will not be on the survey sheet. It will be on the choices sheet. So everywhere that users are supposed to select 1 or 2 or 3 of them, multiple or one, from on the survey front, I will define all of those choices inside the choices sheet. And then the third one is the settings. The settings is where I define my metadata form. A form would have to have an ID and then a version, and in most cases, a default language. Because if, imagine we were Francophone, then our form design will have to be in what? In the French language. And so you could actually also define the language settings inside the settings sheet. So this is the anatomy of an XLS form. Any questions or I'll move? So look at how a typical survey sheet will look like. So a survey sheet will have something like type. Usually it comes first. It comes first as a first column, right? And when I say that over here, you can see I've written 3 columns you will use in every form: the type column, the name, and then the label. That is not all. There are a lot of other, probably about 6 additional or 7 of other columns that are available and can be used. But those ones are secondary. We use those ones to determine how the form should look like, and then the logic of the form. Those ones, that is how we use those other columns for. But then the function, the 3 primary columns that you need in the survey sheet to get your form up and running, at least, is a type, the name, and then the label columns. So imagine that we are building a column, we are building a survey sheet for a meter audit. Okay, a simple form for a meter audit. Under the type, we are interested in capturing the customer name, a meter reading, whether the meter is visible, and then the location of the meter. The type will ask what this question is. So consider something like data type. I will ask you this question: a customer name. What data type is a customer name? What data type is a customer name? This is a question.
Text.
It's a text, exactly. So under the type, I put in there that, okay, so I'm basically telling ODK that I'm coming to define a question. Now for this question, the input response that the user is going to give me is in a text format. That's the first thing. So I put the type there, text. And then I come to the name. Now there are rules when it comes to writing the name. Under the name, I put in the customer underscore name. You realize that I didn't leave spacing and there is no capital letters under the name section, because here it is very, very important. It's actually a variable. A variable in programming means that it's a placeholder. It's not the actual thing, it's a placeholder. So you can see, and in here, I'm saying that variable name in your data, no spaces, and then it should be all lowercase. No spaces, lowercase. That is for the name column. No spaces and the lowercase. Okay. So you have here customer underscore name. Now, the label would be what the what the guy going to the field, the users will see. So even though under the name, I say this over here, I'm capturing a placeholder called customer name. This is what I want users to see. So the people who will be on the field capturing data will see customer's full name. So I'm just giving it a label. Okay, and usually the label makes sense, and the label can take anything. It can take number, it can take text, it can take apostrophe like you are seeing over there, customer's full name, it can take space and all of those things. It can take question marks, all of that. So it's just a normal text. The label is pretty much how you want people to read that question, such that it makes sense to them. If you look at the row 2, we have integer. Meter reading is integer. Integer because the meter reading that we are reading it is coming in numbers or decimals or something like that. So we replace with the type that we provide over there is called what? Integer. The name we say meter reading. And then the label is what? Current meter reading. And that is how we want people to understand it. Okay, this is the current meter reading. So once I go to the field, on the field, I am not going to see this type. I'm not going to see this name. You're only going to see the label. But then when you capture it, ODK understands that this current meter reading that you are capturing for is under the meter reading name. And it's also an integer. So it was expecting an integer. And so if you go there and then you go and put a text value there, the system will throw an error. In fact, it may not even allow you to put a text there at all. Then we have another data type that is called select one. yes underscore no. Now, this is what this means. We are going to do proper, so you try your hands on it. This is what it means. Select underscore one is actually a keyword in ODK. It means that you are going to select from multiple choices. You are going to select only one choice from multiple choices. I'm repeating, select underscore one is actually a keyword in ODK that tells ODK that for this particular question that I am the designer of the form is going to define, the users will only have to select one question. And so it will present it in such a way that you can just check one answer and that's all. Now, over here, after the select one, which is this guy, after this, the select one, it goes on ahead to say yes underscore no. Now, in the choice sheet, we would have defined a choice there called yes underscore no. You would again see that. We will define a choice there called yes underscore no. So when ODK gets here, it says select one, yes or no. It will go into the choice sheet and see the choices that you have attributed to what? The yes underscore no. Usually it's a yes or no because we want to check if meter is visible or not. So if it is visible, yes. If it is not visible, no. Then on the label side, we say, is the meter what? Visible. So when you go to the field, you are going to see, is the meter visible? That is it. Then the very last one that we have here is a geo point. The geo point is simply a GPS location, and ODK will have its special way of collecting the GPS location. But the keyword that we have to use so that ODK knows that at this point, I'm going to collect or I'm going to capture a location is geo point. It's a keyword in ODK called geo point. So you write the geo point, and then under the name, we say location. I could also do an GPS underscore location, however you want to do it. You just have to make sure that it follows the naming convention of the name column. Then the label, over here, we are saying GPS of the meter. I could also do location of the meter, whatever it is. I just want the users to make sure that when they get there, they understand that here, this place, I'm picking a GPS location. So that is what we are doing here. Any questions on this page before I move on? There are a lot more that we'll talk about. Okay, a lot more that we'll talk about.
Yes, Ben, I have a question.
Please ask.
So under the data type, for the select one, yes, no, it's applicable to where you have the option to choose only one, right?
Correct. Yes. Yes.
So is it possible for me to also say that data type is a string under the data type?
Is it possible for you to say what?
So instead of saying select one, I just say maybe under the data type I say string.
Yes, you can also do text, but then no, you cannot say that text yes underscore no. No, that is wrong syntax.
Okay.
So if you want people to select one, you put the actual syntax there that says select underscore one, yes underscore no. And this yes underscore no, you would have to define it in the choices sheet.
So what if I have to make multiple selections?
Then there is a different keyword for it.
Okay.
So you would have select multiple. And then with the select multiple, if I write select underscore multiple, I have to also define, okay, on the choice sheet, which of the select multiples are we looking at? So what is happening here is that you see this yes or no. Maybe I can have another question. For instance, the question that I can have is, was customer available? Yes or no? If that one, let's say, imagine that question comes after the due point. I will still put select one, yes, no. It means that I can reuse the yes or no multiple times in my data because at the end of the day, the yes or no, you've already defined that the user should select either a yes or what, or no. It's very simple. If I want multiple, I will define all the multiple options in my choice sheet and then give them, they are all going to have the same name. Okay. And then when I come to my survey sheet, I say select multiple and I give it the name of the multiple that it's supposed to select, and then they will just select it. Nice and easy like that.
Okay, so for the integer type, I can also
Yeah.
use double and float, right?
You can also use what?
Double and float. Double or
No,
floats.
you only put integer there. You put integer.
So
You only put
because
integer.
we have situations where in these energy meters, when you go to read
Yes.
when you go to read these meters, you will
Yes.
have
Yes. Decimals.
this unit points something something something.
Yes. So
So
you would define decimal differently. This is just an integer, negative or positive whole number. When you are expecting a decimal reading, we will define decimal differently. So there is a keyword also for decimal.
okay.
There's a keyword also for decimal or a float.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. Is there
Yes, so
another question?
my question is, with the select type, is this also applicable if I'm designing for a true or false selection?
Absolutely. It's the same thing. So for instance, I can say select one, and I would have defined true or false inside my choice sheet. So let's say I do T_F or TF. I can also do TF. It doesn't matter. Any way that I define it in the choice sheet, I do TF. Then inside my survey sheet, I say select one, TF. Then I put it there. That's all. So it means that on that question, the user will select either a true or a false. So it works the same way. Yes, you are right. It can be yes or no. It can be true or false. It can be just a two options, single phase, three phase. All of those things. So the forms that you've been seeing that has single phase and then double three phase, that is just it. That's just how we design it. It's just a simple select one statement. Guys, are we good? Can we proceed? Okay, so I take it that I can proceed, right? Oh. So some very common question types that you will use the most. We are looking at the text, which is an open text answer. So over here, you can put your name, address, whatever it is, right? Integer, so whole numbers, maybe meter readings, age, count, and other things. Have the decimals. So like McFoy was saying, meter readings, most of the time, you may have decimals. And so if you have to put the decimal, then the data type that you are using over there is a decimal data type. Like I said, you are not using a whole number. So it wouldn't be an integer. It will be what? Decimal. Then the other one is the select one, which is, I said that the single choice from a named list. So the named list X is represented here. And this one, you would have done that inside the color, the choices sheet. We have the select multiple, which is just about the same. We have the date, we have the time. So the date, maybe you are looking at the date that a meter was installed, maybe the time as well. You have the dew point, which I've already spoken about, the latitude and the longitude. And usually ODK will pick latitude, longitude, accuracy, and elevation sometimes. You also have image, you have barcode, you have notes. So with the note, I can simply show a note of instruction to the users of the form, such that when they get to that particular point, they will see a note that can say that, okay, for the GPS collection, make sure you step outside, make sure you have good and then make sure you have good accuracy, and then select or capture, something like that. So I will leave that note there. So that is a note thing that you have over there. So yeah, this is very, very critical. You can also see there's a common thing amongst them, that is no spacing, and then it doesn't take capital letters. It's all small letters like that. Okay.
So Ben,
Yes, sir.
what's the difference between the text and the notes?
The difference between the text and the note is that the note is not taking input from user. The text is taking input from user. The note is just your note that you have left there for the user to read.
Okay.
So that is the note. So we usually use it to guide users on how to go about answering the questions. Then, so this side is for the survey sheet. Now let's look at a typical choice sheet. And this is how a typical choice sheet would look like. It has a list, it has the list name column, it has the name column, and then it will have the label column as well. So slightly different from the standard survey sheet form as well, because on the survey sheet you have type, name, and a label. On the choice sheet you have list name, and then the label. Now, you see how over here we have yes or no. Now, a yes or no here, the first one that we want to define is the yes. And then the label, you can see that the yes is under the name column. The yes is a small case yes. On the label side, it's a capital Y and a ES. Then we repeat the same yes or no here. And then we say no, which is the small case no under the name column, and under the label column, you see that it's a capital case no. What is happening here is this. The label side is what the user will see, yes or no, okay? The name side is what gets stored in your system. Now, the list name over here is what determines whatever should show when a person gets to that question, and then the person wants to answer the question. For instance, the yes or no, you could have made it could have been yes, no, or no idea, or yes, no, or not available, yes or no, or doesn't apply, something like that. And in that case, I can still maintain the list name as yes, no, then I'll create another one, yes, no. Then under the name section, I will just do maybe NE or N_A or something like that. And then under the label, I just say not available or not applicable. Wherever, if you come to the survey sheet, wherever you see select one, yes, no, the options that you have provided here, depending on the number of them, all of them will appear for the person to only select one. So that is the idea behind this, okay? So over here, I have two choices under the yes or no. It's either a yes or a no. It could have been a yes, a no, or no idea, or not applicable. And then the person will see that and then select any one of them. Then we have another one that says fault type. So imagine that under the fault type, we have about 3 or 4 or 5 options for somebody to choose one. They are all under the fault type. So the list name will repeat itself. Fault type, fault type, fault type, fault type, fault type. Then in this case, we have what? Under the name, we have outage. So outage will be one of the things that the users will be able to select. The user will also be able to select voltage. The user will also be able to select what? Damaged. However, what the users will see will be power outage, low voltage, damaged equipment. But then what gets stored is the outage, voltage, and then the damaged. So that is the principle. This is how the choice sheet connects to the survey sheet. Guys, does that make sense? Hello, please, do we understand it? Am I helping you understand it here? Come again.
Yeah. Can you please go over this again? please.
Okay, let me go over this again. Okay, so the first thing in the choice sheet, you have 3 mandatory column. The first column will be list name, the second column will be name, the third column will be label. Of course, like I said, you can also have multiple columns attached to this, but then these are the 3 standard ones that is needed for every form to function. Good. Then I'm saying that if we want to build it, what you do is under the list name is always going to be the name that you will attach to the survey form so that the survey will understand that, okay, this is the list group that I am supposed to show for the users to select from. The name of the sheet is called choices sheet. So over here, we are creating some choices. Now, the group of choice that you are going to create will have a name, a list. Okay. So engineer, let's take for example, when we are creating a form so that only within, say, district 80, users will select. We are sure that district 80 has, let's say, 3 primary substations. I'm just using this as an example. Primary substations, substation A, substation B, substation C. Now, these are the 3 choices that I want users to be able to select from. Primary substation A, substation B, and then substation C. Okay. So in that case, I need to define all these 3. Now, these 3 will come with the same list name because they are in the same group. So we can call the list name P station. Now, we are going to repeat P stations 3 times. P station, P station, P station. And then under the name column, one of them will have, okay, P station underscore A. The second one, P station underscore B. The third one, P station underscore C. Then on the label, you probably wouldn't want to repeat the P station. You want to make it proper so that when the person is entering the value, the person will see the right value. So the person will write primary, so we'll write primary substation A, primary substation B, primary substation C. But then under the list name, they are all the same. They are all P station, P station, P station. So in the survey sheet, when we are writing, we will say maybe we would have created an input called select one. And then the name of the select one is actually going to be, or the name of the question is going to be primary substation. And then on the label, we are going to tell the users to select any one of these primary substations you are working in. So when I go to the field, I'm going to see select any one of these substations I'm working in. And then in front of the select one statement, I would define the list name that I have already put here in front of that. That is why over here, you see that we have select one, yes or no. So it will only show yes or no as the input for the person to select one from these 2. Engineer, do you understand it?
Yes. So the same
So
goes for if you have, let's say, multiple choices or
yes.
No, don't know, I don't care. You have to go through all of these ones again.
You have to, yeah, exactly. So if I have 50 different choices, then the list name will repeat for all the 50 choices. And then I will define the name for the choices and the label for the choices as well. That is how it works.
Yes, clear. Understood.
Okay. Is there another question? Okay. So this is for the choice sheet. Then we have the settings sheet. Okay. The settings sheet. So on the settings sheet, what we have to define there is pretty simple. We have the form title, which is required. That one we will just put a title in there. It's a display name that users will see. So if the form that I'm creating is for revenue let me see customer registration. I just will title the form customer registration. If the form that I'm creating is for meter registration, I just put in the meter registration. Okay, so that is the form name. The form ID is a unique identifier that the form will carry. And I cannot repeat the unique identifier. Every form would have to have a unique form ID. The form version, you always need to version the form. Usually we use the date kind of thing to stamp it as a recommendation. Okay, your form would have to have a version. And then the language, in case your form is supposed to be multi-lingual, then you also can define it like how they've done it in the English and then French in that manner. And then the instance name. So usually sometimes we don't even put the instance name there, but sometimes you can define what I call a composite instance name by combining one or two things. When I get to that side, I will explain proper for you to understand it. Okay, so that is just for that. Please give me 1 second.
So Ben,
Yes, sir.
my question is, assuming that I want to insert a, let's say, a logo or a photo of, let's say, the institution that is building this, or you are building the form for.
Yeah.
Are you going to do that in under the setting sheet?
No, you would have to. Sometimes you may have to write some kind of an XML to handle that on the first page, but that is advanced. That is an advanced way. So you maybe the first sheet is the maybe EDSA logo of a sort, and then you it comes with something that is advanced, but you have to design that on the survey sheet, not here in the form title sheet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So 1 second, please. All right, guys, so we move on. Then there is the aspect of the escape logic, okay, which is a very important column. So you would usually have a column called relevant, okay, and I mentioned to you that there are extra columns that the survey sheet can have, and relevant is actually one of them. So it says that add relevant column to survey sheet, write an expression using, so you would actually put an expression like that in there. The question only shows when a particular expression that you put under the relevant column evaluates to true. Okay, now today I wouldn't delve deep into the relevant because these things, when you talk about them, it wouldn't make so much sense. It has to be practicalized, and so that is how I would handle that. Then you also have other forms where you can indicate whether a question is a required question or not. If it is not required, you can leave it empty. If it is required, you have to indicate what yes over there. For instance, I create a question called customer name, and under the required column, I put in the yes. That means that question is required. Without it, you cannot move on. Okay, so the system would throw that. We also have constraint, which kind of defines how an error will be, or not an error, but yeah, let's think of it as an error or warning or a constraint message will display. Okay, so a customer, say a meter number is supposed to go beyond 8 digits, but then a customer enters less than 8. We can put some kind of a constraint expression and then a constraint message, which will, at the point of source, will already check whether the numbers that the users have provided actually goes beyond or is up to, okay. And then if in case it is not up to, the system can throw a message and tell the person the numbers that you have provided is not up to the required number, so check again, something like that. So we do constraints to check some of these things to make sure that the data that is being collected at the point of source is also validated before it even gets into the server. We do this to harmonize the data and then check for consistency. Okay. Then we have groups and repeat. Groups and repeat basically is for, it's not, I wouldn't call it, I can use groups and repeat for design, how it's going to look like, how my form is going to look like. That's why it says what? Visually organize related questions onto one screen. No effect on data structure, just the UX. Okay, so it's just my user interface or user experience of a sort. So how I want my form to look like. Again, this one I will have to show you how that works. And then we also have the repeat. The fact that I can ask the same question, the same set of questions multiple times. Okay, maybe one per meter, one per household member, and then one per fault. There is a way to do that, and there is a logic to it. It's not every situation. In fact, you would have to use repeat under some circumstance where repeats are required. If not, you don't have to do it. Okay, so we would try that, and then later on you see. Now, the best practices and deployment workflow would be design. So you look at design principle. You have to start very small. We are not going to actually build boom right out of the bat, crazy form like that. But engineer Safa mentioned something, that a project that currently I think is in the office, and so I would let us use that as a working case. We have to use real users in the field. Maybe for tomorrow, once we design the form, I will get all of us to deploy the form. When we deploy the form, everyone will deploy the form in his name, his or her name, and then on Thursday, you will all be required to at least populate with some 10 or 15 different data set, something like that, so that we are able to test it out and validate it. Yeah. So the deployment workflow, I've already gone through it. We write in either Excel or Google Sheet. We validate our form. In the process of the form validation, when you are pushing the form onto Central will validate the form. If there's an error, it will throw back. So we have to rework on it, and then we'll push it back in again. So that is when we are uploading the data also onto the server. We have to test with the ODK collect on our phones to make sure everything works well, and then we are ready for rollout and submission. Okay. These are some places that you can actually get information from. So the documentation, they have wide range of documentations on online from the ODK side. I will share this slide with you so that you can all have access and then use it as you will, any way you want. Okay, so are we okay up to this point? Are we okay
Yes,
up to this
Ben.
point?
Yes.
Yes.
My questions.
Yeah.
I have 2 questions. The
Okay.
first one is, we have 3 mandating sheets that we should work on, which is the survey sheets, the choices, and the settings.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, Engineer Safa, I'm listening. Is Safa off? Okay, so should we go on or wait? Okay, he's back. Yeah, Engineer Safa, your question.
Sorry, Ben.
No, that's
I
okay.
lost it. So my question is, we have, you said that we have three mandating sheets, which are the survey sheets, the choices, and that of the settings sheet. Settings sheet. But when you
Yes.
look at the form is shared, we are having, I think, 7 or so sheets.
Yes.
What
So
are those?
I mentioned that those are the standard sheets. That doesn't mean that we cannot have extras. I told you it's the same thing I mentioned that even when it comes to survey sheet, there are 3 mandatory sheets that needs to be filled. I mean, the 3 mandatory columns that needs to be populated properly. Without them, your system will throw an error. Your system will not work. However, with them, all the other ones are peripheral. Without them, your form will still work fine. You get it? So I mentioned also that
So,
we use those ones to build the logic and then the interface and other things. So without them, your form will still work fine. So maybe since you are asking that question, let me just now jump straight to the form and then okay. So this form is not editable. You can see that the form is not editable. So I'm going to show you something that we are all supposed to do. Okay. So you can all see that the form is not editable, right? And so if you put in there and you try typing, nothing would work. Yes. So the first thing I will use this one to show you first, and then you go. So Engineer Safa, basically, I hope you can all see my screen.
yes, we can.
Hello. Okay.
Can.
So basically, from after the entities, where you see start here, this is information for first time users. So this everything that comes from or that shows from start here all the way to this place. You really do not need it. But then it is good information for you first time users to look at. The reason is that if you come here in the start here, you can read and then understand whatever it is doing. You can go to the various data types. So over here, we have notes on the various data types. Okay, so these are all the data types. These are the description of the data type. This is how you can use it. Okay, so you can collect geotrace. Geotrace is line, geoshape is polygon, range, image, barcode. So how do you define all of those things? So this is it. So that when we start playing with it, as a matter of fact, in the next 15 or maybe in the next 10 minutes, we'll build a very simple form, but we'll not deploy the form. We'll just design a very simple form. And then from time to time, I will let you come here to confirm. So like how you have the multiple one, select one, select multiple, and all of those things, you guys, you have it here. So these are just notes. Appearance, you have different types of appearances. We have the multi-line appearance, we have the number appearance, Ethiopian calendar, if you have to choose, we have the placement map for a different way you can actually pick GPS coordinate. If when I'm picking my GPS coordinate, if I want to see myself on a map and pin myself on a map kind of thing, you use the placement map, or you can also use the maps for different thing altogether. You can use the search. So these are all different things that we can actually do. And this is the relevance. So the relevance, how does the syntax for the relevance work? So one of the things that you simply have to know is you have to be ready to understand writing ODK syntax, because that is the syntax that it uses. Okay. If someone, unfortunately, someone will try to hide away from programming in a way, but only for you to try to learn something new and then you realize, oh, this new thing too also requires some kind of syntax. And so you would have to be ready to learn some of these syntax. So over here, we have provided the syntax for you, where you can actually look at how syntax work, okay, how we construct ODK syntax under the relevance. And then constraint as well, we have different constraints. So with the constraint, I'm saying that if selected none, count, if selected nothing or none, right, count whatever. Then it's just telling you that another expression. So in here, these sheets that follows are just information for you guys to pick and then use it to learn. And then the language information, the list lookup, the list name, the match properly, and all of those things. Okay, these are all in here. Yeah. So this is just additional information that you can pick. Does that make sense? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So our actual work is from, or we do our actual work from survey all the way to entities. Now, I would talk about entities tomorrow. I will talk about entities tomorrow. For what you guys do in the office, for instance, entities are critical. So I will talk about entities tomorrow. It's ODK's new baby on the block, entities. Okay, so you saw that these are the 3 standard columns. So this one, right? So the type, the name, and then the label. Now, let's go ahead and then we are going to create a duplicate of this. So what I want all of you to do is simply go to File. So you go to the File menu here. On the File, click on, go to Download, and then download an XLS version of this. So click on Download, and then download the very first one that says Microsoft Excel. Click on that, and then that should download a version of it for you. And that is this guy right here. And then if you double click on it, and then that should give you this. So you should have, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and then reshare my Excel sheet.
So then my question is, assuming that I don't want to use this form that is shared with us, and
you can start your own from ground. You can start your own from afresh. You can create your own form. You can open a fresh Excel sheet. Just create the type, name, and field, and then create the 3 sheet, survey, choices, and then settings. And entity, you may not even add entities to it if we are not creating entities. Just survey, choices, and settings, and that's all. And then yes, when you create you put in all the requirements and you upload online, ODK will understand it and there wouldn't be any problem. But I would say if you want to start, you can always start with this because it helps. It will help you avoid any kind of base errors or issues, especially with the technicality. Are we good? Are we good? Can we proceed? We are just going to build a very let's say a five-page form kind of thing. And Engineer Safa, please, you mentioned that you are going to send me something, but I don't think you sent it all.
What?
You mentioned that there's a program.
Oh yes, I mentioned that.
Oh, it was a picture. Oh, you didn't.
Yes,
it's not typed. Then it's a picture. Oh.
Yes, it's a format. These are the things that came to mind.
Okay.
We are trying to develop this one.
Okay, it would be good if we
But
had this in like a picture, maybe a text, a word or something.
we
So
can
that
type
it's
it.
easy. Yes, please. That would be helpful. Okay. So God willing, tomorrow we can actually use this to build our test case. Okay. So, engineer, if you can get it typed for us before tomorrow's meeting, that would be very, very great. So let's create something very simple here. Now, we already understand that we need the three basic ones. So today I'm basically focusing on these three. I'll probably talk about maybe the required and then the hint as well. So that God willing, tomorrow when we start building complicated ones, then I put these ones in there. So let's say that we are building a customer sheet. And so let's talk about it together. If I'm building a customer form, a form to maybe capture customer information, what are the things that we are looking at? So this one, it's a collaboration. I'm not the one doing the talking here. So what are the by the way, have we all downloaded the form?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
We've downloaded.
So we are building a customer form. What are we looking at? What information are we putting in here?
The first the customer's name.
The customer name, right? Now, the question is the customer name, how is it coming as? Is it a text? Is it an integer? Is it a geopoint? Obviously, it's a text,
Say
right?
text. Yeah.
Absolutely. So in here, let me zoom in a little bit so that you all get to see. So in here, you put text like this. And you see, the reason why engineers suffer, the reason why I also prefer that you use this template sheet is that you see it gives you all the available data types in here, and so you wouldn't have to be typing so much. Sometimes you can just search through and then you pick it like this text. This makes your life easier. Now,
so this sheet was developed by ODK.
this is developed by, yes, this sheet is developed by ODK. Most of the times, the ones that I use, I build it myself from ground up. But for teaching purposes, I want to use this. So then on the name side, so the customer name, this is how you would write the customer name, right? So customer underscore name. We already understand that under anything in ODK, whether it's on the choice sheet or survey sheet, once it's going under the name column, it shouldn't come with what? A space or capital letter. It should be small cases with underscores. If you hover on this red thing here, okay, it's a comment. If you hover on it right now, it will tell you the variable name. It may not contain spaces and must start with a letter or something. Okay, so if you click on that, you would get to see all the information that you need. So the customer name here. The label is what do we want, or how do we want the person who will go to the field to do this data collection to see it. I want the person to see actual customer name like this, customer name. So I type in the customer name, proper customer name, like how if you are writing normal thing, you write, not with an underscore, but with space. Now, let me quickly talk about the hint. For the hint, it's saying that if you want, how would you want someone to kind of have an idea what the person, see, I'm just saying that enter the name of the person that, or who owns, not that, who owns the meter. So this is the hint. Someone goes to the field, right? And then the person we'll say that, okay, are we entering whoever will go and meet in the house, or we are entering the name of the person who actually owns the meter? Okay, so here I put a hint there for the person. So when the whoever is using the form goes to the field and then is about to answer this question, that person will see this hint. Enter the name of the person who owns the meter. So the person will say, oh, okay, it's not about who is in the house, but whoever owns the meter is a name that I need to put in there. And if this is a required column, if it's a required question that I want the person to answer no matter what, I simply put under the required, I put yes. That's all. I put yes. So with that, it will come with the red asterisk thing. That shows that this is a required question that you need to answer. Guys, are we together or I'm alone?
Yes,
with
we
you.
are.
Yeah, we are together.
Fantastic. So this is one. What is the next thing that we can capture here?
The address of the customer.
The address of the customer. Good. So now let's put a customer address there. So the customer address, how will it also be like? Obviously, text as well. Okay. And then I can just type address or customer address, however you want to do it, it's all up to you. So address like so. And then over here,
But
I would say,
excuse me, Ben.
yes,
But on the address we have numbers and text.
a
So
text,
we
a
only
text will
use
take,
text. We
a
take
text will
numbers
take number and everything. A
Okay,
text will
okay.
take number,
And letters.
string, all and letters and everything. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm. And then so over here I can put in the customer now here I want to say customer house address. Mhm. So in the hint I can type the address of where the meter is located. Okay, and then this one also is supposed to be a mandatory field, so I put yes in there. Can we proceed? Or you are still working on that?
We are still typing. Please hold on.
Okay. Please, you let me know when we should go on.
So Ben, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So with respect to the other things that are showing, the relevant appearance, default, constraints,
Mhm.
how useful are those ones to us
How will you
presently?
do it?
I'm asking with respect to the ones that we've not entered anything
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
ones that we have to deal with,
yeah.
the required, relevant, sorry,
Mhm.
appearance, default, constraints message. How useful are those ones to us presently?
I will integrate that. I will do that tomorrow because tomorrow
Okay,
we will build a form that you shared. If you type it for us, that's what we'll build. Then I will use that to explain all of that.
thank you.
For today, we are building a very basic one. Then we can also decide the next one. Let's say customer phone number. So now the phone number usually we use text as well, right? Because it starts with 0 and 7, and it goes on. Well, it depends. I'm just saying something off my head. And you can also decide that you are making the phone number numeric. But if you make it numeric, then the 0 will disappear in most cases. Okay, so the first 0 will disappear. So however you decide to do it, you should just understand the trade-offs. Okay, so I'll just do phone number, and then here I will just type customer's phone number. Customer's phone number. Number, and it's also mandatory. So yes. Okay. So this is it. If okay, I think we need to build another one more thing. So in this case, we need to let's think of something that can give us a multiple choice where users would have to select one from. What can we think of? You guys should have helped me here. Something that we would have to select one from. Tariff, customer tariff.
Yes, customer tariff.
So the
For
tariff,
which are
obviously, the tariff, you would have to select one from it, right? So like the name goes, okay, you ask yourself, okay, customer tariffs, what would they do? They will select one tariff. So you use the keyword select. If you start typing select one already, it will pop up. That says select one list name. So over here, you would have to clean the list name, but we'll come to it. Select one. Then inside this, you can see that something is incomplete here. But then inside the name, I'll put in the customer underscore tariffs, like this guy. And then I'll type this one in full, customer tariffs. I don't have any hint, so I'll just, it's a mandatory. Now, over here, that we have an incomplete form. An incomplete because they select one. It takes another variable. What variable do you think it takes? Do you
So
remember?
you need to select one from a list of options.
A list of options, exactly. So now you need to define that option. Okay, we are saying that the customer tariffs, the user is supposed to select one of the tariffs. So you have to now come to the choice sheet. So go to your choice sheet. This is how the choice sheet is looking like. You go to the choice sheet, and on the choice sheet, you define the choice that, or the choices that the user of the form would have to pick one from. So let's just say that what are the various tariffs? Let's give maybe 3. What are they?
One, P, P4.
Prepaid, eh?
No, T1, tariff 1, T1, T1,
T1,
yeah, T2, T2,
T2.
T3, T4,
Okay,
T7, right?
T3. Okay, let's just do up to T3 for this. Then inside the label, I will do T1 again, T2, and then T3 inside the label. Okay. So this is it, right? This is it. Now, under the name, realize that I don't have any spacing. I have just T1, T2, T3, small cases, and then the label is written like this. However, there is also something missing here, and that is the list name. So over here, I need to indicate that the list name, this list name is going to be what? I'm going to call it C tariff to mean customer tariff, like this, C tariff. And this C tariff will run through all of it. So it's going to be like this, C tariff, T1, T2, T3. Now, I'll copy this C tariff list name here and then come to the survey sheet. In front of the select one, I will paste the C tariff. So here, it reads like this. Select one from the C tariff options. So these are the C tariff options. T1, T2, T3. Select one from the C tariff what? Options on this row. So that is what is going to happen. So if someone goes to the field and then the person gets to this question and then he taps on it, he's going to get a drop-down list of T1, T2, T3. If it was up to T7, the person would have seen all of it, and then the person will only get to select what? One from that. Guys, do you understand it?
Tariff na double effet.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so that is for this. And like I said, this approach, you can also repeat it for maybe the select multiple. We can also repeat that for no, so that would be for the select multiple, and you see something here that says select one from file, select multiple from file. This is way advanced, and this comes when I'm creating some kind of entity, so I'm not going to touch on it because I want to take it one step at a time. But this is an advanced form where we attach a file to it, where it's going to select from that file, and it's we can create a geopoint. So let's create a geopoint here, and then we'll say customer location. And in here, I can put in the customer location like this. I'll probably do GPS. And then maybe I want the location to be, yes, and I'll put it in the customer location as a geopoint. Okay. So you can go ahead and then build any additional form that you want, whichever one that you think is relevant. You can definitely put that in there, and then that should do for it. Okay. There are other things that we can do. So when it comes to relevant and appearance and other things, we'll talk about this tomorrow when we are creating our test case form, which you will deploy on the EDSA production server when we are done with this training. Any questions so far? The settings sheet is also in there. So the form title, I can just make it customer registration like this, customer registration. And then the form ID, I could probably make a form ID. Usually what I'll do is that I will do 00, maybe 20, 26, 001, like this. So this will be my form ID. The instant name, I don't want you to worry about the instant name at this point because it will require functions and I'm not jumping to functions just yet. Okay, so those are some of the things that you can simply put in there. And once you are done with this, you would have to just save your form. Okay, you just simply save your form. So on a very low side, we could actually publish this one. We can push this onto an ODK, any ODK central, and then this will come as a standard form on ODK Collect, where users can actually take to the field and then collect some data with it. So you can see it's not very difficult. It's very, very, very simple. Okay, any questions, please, before we bring today's session to a close?
Hello, Ben.
Yes, sir, Chief.
Yes. Under the hints, is it a must to end with that exclamation mark?
No, it is not. It is not.
Okay.
It is not.
Okay. Then again, you are explaining of repeats, validation, those last fixtures.
Yes.
Where do we define them?
So those ones I said I will touch on those details tomorrow because those ones require the writing of some syntax. So as for the repeats and other things, it's just additional in between rows that we'll put in there, right? And then you have the required, these are the relevant, this is the relevant field, this is the appearance field, this is the default, constraint message, calculation, trigger, choice filter, parameters, so much. All right, so I can show you later on how these ones interplay. We use this to build like a much complex form.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, so Ben, my
Yes,
question is, hello?
Yeah, engineer, I'm listening.
What's the difference between the geo point and the geo trace?
The geospace is for polygon data creation. GeoPoint is for point, and then GeoTrace is the line.
Okay. So, with respect to the required, the yes, they are not case sensitive, right?
They are not, no. It should be yes in small cases like this.
Oh, okay, because
like how I've written them, yes, in small cases like this.
So, in writing these ones, say I've made a mistake.
Yeah.
Like the one that has to do with the select one that will give you. Is it the same for others? Saying, say for example, I've already written yes in capital. How will I know that I've made a mistake?
When you are about to push onto ODK will validate the form that you are pushing. So it will point to you that you have on row this, you have this there. So you come back and then change it.
Okay.
It will validate before you push. It will run all the validation checks even before you publish it online. So that is how it's programmed.
Then for the choices, so the choices only have to do with for if you only have to link the choices with the survey that have multiple choices.
Multiple choices. Either you are selecting one or you are selecting multiple. It's all in there. Then here, I can also create inside the choice sheet. I create something we call cascading choices. Cascading choices is like I've implemented some for you guys before. So imagine we have the entire Freetown, and then we have the various what's it called now? The various districts, and each district has primary substations under it. So if I select district 82, I want to see only the primary substations under district 82. That we call it cascading. I can implement that also here. Again, that is advanced. On this level, not yet. If we have to build more complicated forms, then I'll be able to explain that. So we can also implement that cascading here.
I think we'll have to develop that one because in the form that I shared with you,
Yeah.
it has to do something like that.
So
Example,
when we are doing that, when we are building that form, then I will explain the cascading stuff.
because if we are selecting a particular substation, we just have to deal with the feeders related
Yes.
to that particular.
Yes. So when we are building, then I will explain that.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Yes, Ben.
Okay. Oops. Person dropped.
He's trying to reconnect again. Please hold on.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, Ben.
Yeah.
Yes. So for the choices, if we have another role that requires choice, how are we going to input the data?
Okay. So let's say so give me an example so we use it. So give us an example. What other data point will require some choices? Give us one.
Let's just say maybe you have 3 feeders.
Feeders, right? So
Yeah.
if we have feeders, what I will do here is I will write my select one. Okay, so this list name is supposed to be here. Now, what I'm selecting, I am capturing for, say, would we say customer, give me a sec, please. Let's go. Would we say customer feeders or feeders? How would we do it? Feeders, and then I'll say select customer feeder. Okay. Now let's just say this is also mandatory, so I'll just put yes in there, and then in the hint you can decide what you want to put in the hint. Now I said select one feeders. If I come to choices, I can put something here, say C feeder, and then give me the feeder. Give me a feeder name. Feeder name, please.
Chinese.
So I have here Chinese feeder, and then over here is Chinese. And then what's another feeder?
Wilberforce.
Wilberforce. Oh, William Wilberforce. Okay, so there's the Wilberforce. I can do sorry, my bad. I can do Wilberforce feeder, Chinese feeder here. Okay, and then this guy will also come down here, Chinese feeder. So you can see this is for the feeder. So when I come here, if someone is actually filling the form, the person gets here, I need to input here C feeder. That's it. That's the only thing. So when that person gets here, the person knows that, oh, this select one is only pulling from the what? The C feeder options or the C feeder choices, which is Chinese and then Wilberforce. So that will be the only two choices that shows. If we had multiple here, oh, my bad now. If we had multiple here like this, I'm just repeating them. If we had multiple here like this, then what's going to happen is that if I zoom in, make it go down like this, right? Then what's going to happen is that the person is going to see all those options appearing in here. So if he or she is on the field and about to pick something, the person gets to see that this is what is happening in there. So it's very, very easy. Okay, it's very, very easy. Do you get it?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. And sometimes you pretty much would have to be very careful, especially when you are naming the choice list name. Okay, you just make sure that these are different names. This is only for the tariffs. The system will only recognize that this guy is for the tariffs. So irrespective of the numbers, it will know that once it is carrying this C tariff name, it is only for the tariffs. Then this is for the feeders, so it will only carry the feeders and all of that. So that is just how simple it is. Any more questions? Any more questions, please? Okay, so if there are no questions, then I think I would say thank you to all of you for today's good session. And I'm going to send over the recording to you to replay if you have to. Please don't hesitate to go online. And all the useful information is also in here, inside the other worksheets. Okay, all the data types are available. You can see what they all permit you to do. And God willing, tomorrow I'll have a server app for you specifically for your training, and you would have access to play with it for some time. And then probably after 2 days of the training, that will be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Monday, I'll bring the server down. So let's do that. Thank you. And yeah, enjoy the rest of it. Are we good?
Tomorrow at 10, right?
Yes, tomorrow at 10, God willing. Yes.
Sure.
Okay.